Welcome to From Betrayal to Breakthrough, and here is a mini dose of Dr. Debi where I'm sharing tips, suggestions, strategies, and sometimes just motivation to have you move past your betrayal once and for all. Hi there. So I've had so many conversations with people lately, and they're saying, my betrayal happened so long ago, I should be over this by now. Why am I still struggling with this? Why do I still have these symptoms? Why am I still in so much pain? And there are so many reasons for it, but one thing is time has nothing to do with your healing. It really doesn't. We assume, well, if it happened 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years ago, I should be over it by now. Not necessarily, because if you've heard me talk about the 5 stages from betrayal to breakthrough, the most common place we get stuck in is stage 3. Now, when we're in stage 3, we can stay there for decades. We can stay there for life. So it's not necessarily time that's going to heal it. Now, here's the other thing. People think a new relationship will heal it. Well, I'm with this new person. Why am I still not trusting? Why am I still anxious? Why am I still hypervigilant? That's because a new relationship won't heal it either. The only thing that heals betrayal is healing it, is moving through the 5 stages from betrayal to breakthrough. But I wanted to talk about this today because I caught myself with something that I was doing, and it just shows how we have these beliefs that are formed. And that doesn't mean they're right. It doesn't mean they're true. It just means they're ours. And I did an episode about beliefs, and I was talking about how what a belief really is. And all it is the repetition of an idea from someone you trust. That's it. Someone said something to you enough times that you trusted, and it made it your belief. And then once we repeat this over and over, it goes into our subconscious. And that's what is sort of the motor driving our thoughts, behaviors, actions, habits, and all of that. So unless we look at them, unless we question them, that's what we're still using to sort of drive us around. And so when it comes to why we're not healing, I want to talk about the 3 groups in the study who didn't heal, but I want to talk about how just these beliefs get stuck too. So here's what happened with me. Years ago, here I was, I had 4 kids and 6 dogs and a thriving business. And the only way I could manage it all and get my workout in and, take care of everybody and everything and all of it was, of course, we cut some corners, and we cut the corners with ourselves. We wouldn't dare cut those corners with anybody else, right? So I was doing all of these things, and I got so used to thinking ahead and thinking of, okay, this kid has to go here. We need this for, the house, and I need this for my business, and feed the dogs and take them out, and all of these things. And I got so programmed that that's really how I was able to do all this, just having these lists and checking them off and always thinking ahead so that I knew where everybody was and what was happening and getting it all done. Well, here it is, years later. I don't have all the kids in the house. We lost most of those dogs. One left from that original group. And I don't have to run this tight ship anymore. But because I was so programmed for so long, I didn't even notice it. And it took my girls saying to me, you need to slow down. I didn't even realize. I mean, to me, I was doing things that were so much more relaxing than I used to do. I would never just do, like, for example, I do so many things at home because it saves me time, coloring my hair, doing my nails, getting my workout in, things like that. And I sort of justify it by like, it's so much quicker if I do it at home. And even now, things like that, where it's like everything that I'm doing is to, let's say, save time so I could get more done. What the heck am I trying to get so much more done for? Right? Like, what's my rush? And I had this image of me sort of racing to the red light. Like, the red light's there. It's going to be there. Why do I need to race to the red light? You see what I'm saying? And it's this whole lifestyle of racing just to get more done, as if there's a prize of like, go you got so many things done. So I'm seeing now at this stage of life that I have this deep programming of undoing that needs to happen. Now, of course, when it comes to betrayal, and I've been through that too, but I'm just giving you an example so everybody can kind of understand what programming looks like when we take a look at how we're moving through our day, and then we see it and we're like, oh wow, that doesn't work anymore. I don't want to be like that anymore. Okay, let me take measures to change that. And here's the thing too, even when you take measures to change that, that doesn't mean it's not still sitting there in your subconscious. Like, for example, here I am now doing all these things to give myself less stress, take more time, it's not the be all end all goal of getting everything done in a day, right? But that doesn't mean it's still not showing up in so many other areas that need my attention. So all that to say that, especially, when it comes to something like betrayal, think of the beliefs we can have. We're not good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, thin enough, whatever it is, enough, right? And we can, once that becomes a belief, that's what's going to drive our thoughts, behaviors, actions, habits. And it's so important for us to see, how is that affecting us and how is it showing up in our lives? And what are we doing to either maintain that or to try and change that? Because here's the thing, and you've heard me say this too, it has nothing to do with you. Even though it happened to you, it's not about you. It's not about you. So if you're interpreting someone else's actions as you're not worthy, you're not lovable, you're not deserving, that's for you to fix, because that's not right, that you're allowing someone else's actions, behaviors to give you an identity, right? It's something that happened, but that doesn't mean this is who you are. And so what we need to do is move you through the 5 stages from betrayal to breakthrough, so that what was your life story has become a pivotal chapter of your next story. So just wanted to make sure I brought that up. And then here's the other thing too. When we're stuck, another reason we're stuck is because we can be in one of these 3 groups. Now, when I did the study, there were 3 groups who did not heal. And I want to let you know, because if you're doing these things, it's preventing your healing. So the belief thing is a huge one, because those beliefs will stop you from healing if you're believing you're not worthy of anything better. You don't deserve to feel good. You don't deserve to feel happy or loved or treasured or whatever it is that you are looking for. So the beliefs will keep you absolutely stuck. But in this study, there were 3. And so I want you to assess those beliefs, because it's huge. We do something within the PBT Institute called Bridges, and affirmations. It's sort of like my take on affirmations. Affirmations seem like a far reach for a lot of people. So a bridge is something more believable we can work on as we move to change our beliefs, because we have this neural programming, this wiring that gets laid down. And like, it becomes this well-worn path that we're not even thinking of anymore. This is just how we're moving through our day, how we're moving through our life. But we need to take a look under the hood and see what the programming is, because that's what's impacting so much of what we do. Anyway, the 3 groups in the study who did not heal, and I want you to pay attention, because if you're doing this, it's going to prevent your healing. The first one, this was the group, they had their story, they were sticking with it. They were betrayed. Someone had done them wrong. Now, here's the thing. Yes, that's true. That's true. But what they were doing by holding on to their story was keeping them stuck. And I talk about that house analogy a lot. And this was the person, this is where I think I came up with that analogy, where, let's say, here's the difference between resilience and transformation. Resilience is restoring, bringing back, and you need that for your everyday. So let's say there's a house that needs a new roof. Get a new roof. That would be resilience. You're restoring it, right? The house needs a new paint job. You get a paint job. That's resilience. You're bringing it back to its original state. But here's the thing with trauma and transformation, the difference would be like this. a tornado comes by and levels the house, right? A new roof's not going to fix it. New paint job's not going to fix it. Both aren't going to fix it. And here's the thing. You can kick and scream and mourn the loss of your house for the remainder of your days. And you'd be absolutely right. This was terrible. You could even call all your friends over and say, look at this. You're standing by the lot where your house once stood and say, this is the most tragic, horrible, awful thing. They'd all agree. And you don't have to do anything. You can actually mourn and grieve the loss of your house until your last day. However, should you choose to rebuild your house, you don't have to. But if you choose to, why in the world would you build the same house, right? There's nothing there. Why not make it bigger, better, more beautiful, give it everything the old house didn't have? That's transformation. That's the opportunity. But the first group that I'm talking about who didn't heal, they had their story. They were essentially standing there, mourning, grieving, kicking, screaming over the loss of their house. Period. End of story. That's all they did. They didn't heal. The second group, this was the group that was numbing, avoiding, distracting. They ran to the doctor who put them on a mood stabilizer, an anti-anxiety medication, and it made it easier to get through the day, not without a price. This was the group that would emotionally eat, that would drink, that would numb in front of the TV. They didn't heal because here was something so painful, but they just wanted to escape it. So they did temporarily. But then, of course, if we don't heal it, it's still there. So numbing of any kind is temporarily going to make it seemingly easier, right? But when you come back to it, it's still there. So what we try and do with numbing is outrun it. We're just trying to outrun it. And you can do that for a little bit, but if you notice, it will still be there. And again, I'm going to use an example that I just love because it really explains it. It's almost like if you have a messy room in your house or a messy drawer. Like let's take a messy room. Let's take a garage. And that garage is just, it's a mess. And you just do all you can to avoid going in because you don't like it. You don't like how it feels and you avoid it. And by avoiding it, you think, you know what? I'm just not dealing with it. It's fine. It's fine. But there's something about it that's sort of vying for your attention, And then think about it. There's that one day where you're like, you know what? I'm going in. And you grab your garbage bags and you roll your sleeves up and you're like, I am just tackling this thing. I am taking it on. Now, if you think about it, in the beginning, it actually looks worse. It looks worse because you have stuff everywhere. You're like, I'm going to donate this. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to go get that fixed. I'm going to keep this. And things are in all your different piles all over. And you go and you put things in the car that you're going to, donate, toss, whatever you're going to do. And you get your fancy boxes or containers or whatever, and you put back what's left. Think about what happens now. Now you stand back with pride. Look at your garage. Look at what you did. You want to invite your friends over. Come look at what I did. You are so proud of what you've done. Now, the only way you can enjoy the place you're in right now is because you dove in there and you did it. That's the difference. When you numb, avoid, distract yourself, it is still there every single time. When the minute that drug, that numbing agent, that distraction wears off, it's still there. It's essentially that's still that messy garage. But when you go in and you clean that up, pride, sense of empowerment, go you, right? Because you went in and you did it. And that's what we call in the PBT Institute, face it, feel it, heal it, because that's what happens. So if you're numbing, avoiding, distracting in any way, and I get it, this is so painful to move through. So you may have thought, oh, well, this is just going to help. Well, okay, so maybe in the beginning, and maybe if you feel that that's what you need, yes. But when you truly, truly want to move through it, you need to feel it. Now, work with your doctor. I'm not suggesting you get off any medication. What I have found, though, over and over and over again, when you do the work, you simply don't have a need for it. So again, check with your doctor on that one. I am not suggesting get off of any medication. What I have seen over and over and over again, you lose the need for it. But if you're questioning it, check and see, what numbing agent you're using, if you're doing anything to numb yourself, and how is that really playing out, and notice how long ago your betrayal happened, and if you still are stuck in stage 3, really good chance that's why. So check that out, because that could very likely be a reason why you're getting stuck. Here's the third group that didn't heal, and this was really interesting because this was the group where the betrayer had very little consequences. So whether it was out of financial fear, not wanting to break up a family, religious reasons, that was a big one. These people did all they could to look the other way, turn the other cheek, try to put it behind them without any real consequences for the betrayer. And I saw two things with this group. Number one, a further deterioration of the relationship, because neither one is doing anything to change, right? And number two, this group was the most physically sick. Your broken heart can't handle that. This group had the most symptoms of post-betrayal syndrome, because look at what they were trying to navigate and deal with and move through without any real change. You can't, right? So now I get it. There were all they had all their reasons, but without that crash and burn of the old, you really can't birth the new. And it's going back to that house analogy. It would be, you ever see those houses where you're patching up, patching up, patching up, patching up? And sometimes you just need to level the house and build back something beautiful. I get the fear of the unknown. I get the fear of change. I get all of that. But from the research and the proof, this group was the most physically sick. So if you're doing that, know that I'm sure you have lots of reasons why you're doing what you're doing. It's also preventing your healing. So, again, I'm not suggesting anything. I mean, I would only need to be working with you at the transform level, or having you within the PBT Institute to have a better sense of who you are and what you need for me to suggest anything. And as a coach, psychologist, but coach first, I would give you a bunch of different ideas, suggestions that have worked for so many other people. And to be empowered, you're going to choose the one that seems like the best fit for you. Of course, we support you every step of the way in doing that. I mean, I remember doing that. There was one woman I was working with, and she was married over 40 years, and there were really no consequences with her husband. And so there was very little change. And we worked together and she moved out. She moved out for into an Airbnb for a few months, and it was terrifying for her. She had never done anything like that. Well, he changed. He really changed, because it was the first time he actually had real consequences. So sometimes it takes something very drastic, whatever that looks like for you, to wake both of you up and realize the old way just doesn't work anymore. And it's a way of kind of not enabling each other, but giving each other the opportunity to see, hey, what is it that I've been tolerating? What have I been dealing with? What do I really want? And for the betrayer, what the heck have I been doing? What am I thinking? Let me step up my game. So there's something very shocking and profound about that wake-up call for both parties, that have you do something very different, and then of course have a very different result. We've had so many members do this with support, with guidance, and it's worked so beautifully in whatever way they're willing to create these consequences, so that both of you can wake up and see what's important. Now, I can tell you that we never know what's going to happen. Sometimes the betrayed actually makes a big, bold move, and on their own, whether it's an in-home separation or they do separate, they say, what the heck was I tolerating? I don't even want that anymore. And that's one thing that can happen. Or we've seen such beautiful relationships come back together in such a new and amazing way, because of this newfound respect and new boundaries and new rules and new everything. And then it's like you're dating again and you get to know each other again at a very different level. Anyway, but again, if there are no consequences, both of you aren't healing. You're both not facing what you need to face in order to do the work to heal. So I get all the reasons why, and I'm not suggesting I would never say what's right for somebody. I believe you know what's best, but I can tell you what the research proved, what we see within the PBT Institute, and even my own experience. My own experience is, in stage 5, I married my husband again. New rings, new vows, new dress, and our 4 kids is our bridal party. Never in a billion years would I have done anything like that if I wasn't totally different. And for sure, if he wasn't totally different, why in the world would I take that on again? Right? The whole idea of moving to stage 5 is that you see how lovable, worthy, deserving you are. You completely rebuild yourself, taking all the parts you love, leaving behind anything that no longer serves. And if the other person is a match for who you've become, that's a whole different conversation. But the idea is you want to take that betrayal and use it as an opportunity to become a version of yourself that never would have had the opportunity to be birthed had that not happened. That's trauma well served. So when you're thinking of all of this, I want you to look at it and say, what beliefs are keeping me stuck? What beliefs do I need to look at again and see, do they support me? Do they take me forward? Or do they hold me back? If they no longer work for you, just how when we started, I was talking about my whole belief that, the be all end all goal was just to check things off my to-do list, right? That makes no sense anymore. So I'm unlearning and reprogramming myself from all of that. But of course, that's a smaller example when we have to rewire our minds because of betrayal. But either way, take a look and see what beliefs are keeping me safe, small, stuck, sick, and we need to rework those. The other thing is the 3 groups who did not heal. Again, the group that they had their story, they were sticking with it. See if you are holding on to your story for dear life. Trust me when I tell you, your story will be so much better when you let that go. The hero's journey, the heroine's journey, where yes, you had that terrible thing happen, but look what you've done with it. Like, look, if you heard my story, everybody that I ever trusted, the most important people I ever trusted, all betrayed me. And you'd give me lots of sympathy and you'd feel bad for me. And that would be what I would receive. However, look at the story I can have now, that because I did something different with my story, we're helping countless people heal, right? Through the PBT Institute, through PBT Corporate, through the podcast, through the books, through the certifications, through all of it, right? Isn't that a better story? I could have had the other story, and I did, but I didn't like it. I like this story much better. The second group who did not heal, the group that was numbing, avoiding, distracting, right? Check. Is that what you're doing to make it easier to get through the day? It's not without a price. It's keeping things there. The minute that numbing agent wears off, there's your issue. So if you are really, really struggling and you need that in the beginning, again, it's not for me to say, this is what you speak about with your doctor, but I will tell you, facing it, feeling it, healing it is the way to move through it. I recommend, before getting off of any medication, you move through the stages and you see for yourself, you just have less of a need for it. The third group, this was the group where the betrayer had very little consequences. All of the reasons why, but it did keep them stuck, and they had the most symptoms of post-betrayal syndrome. So all of the reasons why you may be thinking, well, I need to do this, but if you check in your heart of hearts, what's really driving it? And then I would ask you this, if you're unsure, ask yourself this question. If I wasn't afraid, what would I do? So often we're motivated by fear, or we're motivated by, we're covering for the betrayer. And we do this. It's at our own expense. Look at the price you're paying for this. And I'm not saying it's not scary to make some big, bold change. It is. It's terrifying. But is that what you need? Is that what your partner needs? We don't know, right? You never know, but what's the price you're paying for staying stuck? And if the price is your health, your wellness, your sanity, your confidence, your well-being, all of that. See the price you're paying, and is that worth it? And if you're unsure, an easy way around this is, if someone you loved, this is an easy one if you have kids, but if you don't, just someone you love. If, let's say, your kids, if you had a child, and it's helpful if you choose the same sex. So if you're a woman who's been betrayed, pick your daughter. If you're a man who's been betrayed, pick your son. If they came to you with the same exact story and you love them, what would you suggest? What would you recommend? Take that a step further. Why is it okay to recommend that to them and not to you? What's going on there? That's the work. So I know I really brought on a lot of stuff here, but this whole idea just happened when I realized I am racing to the red light. I have some deep old programming around getting it all done that just needs to change. And as I move into this next beautiful stage of life, where the kids are all doing beautifully, and I have this great new relationship with my husband, and I'm having so much fun and still working super hard, but catching myself as I'm just trying to get more done, because that's not the goal anymore. The goal is just to have more fun and enjoy life more, and to be more present, and to give you more. Lots to look at. And I hope this gets you to think a little bit more, and of course, gets you to look under the hood and see what needs a little bit of tweaking, because we always want to take any trauma as an opportunity to transform. So I hope this helps, and I'll see you next time. You need the right tools, support, and the right community to move through the 5 stages from betrayal to breakthrough. And we have all that within the PBT Institute. So join us at the PBT, as in post-betrayal transformation, thepbtinstitute.com. There's a version of you who's so confident, healthy, peaceful, and happy on the other end of your healing. And we can't wait to help you get there. We got you. Thanks for listening. And here's to your breakthrough.